Hello. This reading comes from Broken Dove, the St Ives Murders, which is the award-winning second May Treloar Cornish crime thriller. Chapter 6. By 1:30 in the morning, Ochre Pengelly had her audience in thrall, but Amy Angove in particular seemed transfixed. Ochre was telling the story of past owners of Lost Farm Barn. Their name was Pitt Townsend, and they farmed the whole of the Lost Farm estate, now owned by Edwin and his family. And well, Phil, of course, but then it was known as Last Farm Estate. The name came to be changed in reaction to the dreadful events that ensued. Her audience gathered closer with bated breath as she lowered her voice for dramatic effect. Simon, the eldest son, returned home from the First World War with severe shell shock. His two younger brothers already killed in action. At first, all seemed well, but after several months, the grief-stricken mother was clearly declining into madness. Then, just before the summer solstice, she hanged their only sister, her only daughter, in an act of total insanity. A farm worker found the body swinging in the cool morning air in the derelict engine house of the abandoned mine workings that are still to be found on Dillon's farm today. "No!" Amy cried. Ochre ignored her and continued gravely. The father sold up and moved away with his remaining disturbed son. Then, when he himself, the father, died in the influenza pandemic of 1918-19, the last son returned to Cornwall to commit suicide in the same way at the same spot as his tragic sister. "You mean she was hung by her own mother?" Amy asked. "Hanged, Amy, hanged. Pictures are hung, people are hanged," said Ochre in a patronising tone. "But that's so terribly, terribly sad. Tragic, just tragic. Dreadful, awful. You couldn't make that up. You aren't making that up, are you, Ochre? All of them, the entire family, just lost, all of them." "Indeed, Amy, and since that time the farm has always been known as Lost Farm, and the doomed siblings are said to be seen wandering late on summer's evening, wandering the empty mine workings." "But does Pippet know this story?" Amy asked breathlessly. "Does Pippet know?" "Pippet?" asked Sam under her breath. Lucia rolled her eyes. "That's her name for Flip. He always loathed it." "Of course he does," Ochre spat. "Everybody who knows this land knows the story. Frankly, Amy, I'm amazed that you don't." "But how can he live here? How can he have bought this horrid place?" she cried in genuine anguish, startling the others, even Ochre. "Hush, it's okay. It's all a long time ago, sweetheart. I've never seen any ghosts here," said Hope Maddox, putting her arm around Amy's shoulder and leading her away, casting a frown at Ochre, who shrugged her shoulders in reply. "Well, that woman doesn't get any smarter with age," Ochre declared to her remaining audience. "Really, Ochre, you are a beast. You know how gullible she is," Lucia said. "I believe their spirits still roam here, Lucia, even after all these years." "Well, I don't, and neither does Flip." "He knows the story then?" Sam asked. "Yes, of course. I must agree with Ochre on that point. Everyone knows the story. I can't believe it's news to Amy. Maybe she just forgot." Just then, Eva strode through from the kitchen, hands on hips. "Really, Lucia, what have you been saying to Amy now? She's in floods of tears all over our brother." Sam bristled, and Lucia threw her arms up in exasperation. Not guilty. Sam is my witness, and Ochre here is the culprit." "I should have guessed. At times you are unconscionable, Ochre. You know how delicate she is." "Well, she didn't have to stay and listen. She could have joined you and the others in the kitchen, couldn't she?" "I didn't pin her down," Ochre said. "No, but it was a very absorbing story," Sam said, "and she was right about the tragedy of it. But anyway, I was coming to fetch you, Lucia, and Sam. Mama is ready to go home now, so we're off. You are staying with us, I gather, Sam?" "Well, yes, thank you, if that's all right," she answered, looking to Lucia. "Yes, of course, it's fine, isn't it, Eva?" "Indeed, it will be a pleasure," Eva replied, flashing one of the characteristic glorious Treloar smiles. Sam bit her lip as she found herself about to ask whether they shouldn't give Amy a lift, but stopped herself just in time, realising she would come across as a jealous teenager. As if sensing her discomfort, Lucia spoke up. "Are we taking Amy?" No, she wants to talk to Flip, and then she's going with Ochre, isn't that right? Yes, I'm happy to drop her back to her parents when she's ready. The least I can do. Right then, let's away. Have you seen her, Bee? Asked Lucia. Yes, she's in the kitchen waiting, Eva declared. As they were speaking, a piercing, terrifying scream rang out from the courtyard. Sam and Lucia rushed from the sitting room, out through the atrium into the night. Amy Angove was standing alone, pointing into the gloom. She turned her huge, wide and unblinking eyes towards them. Look! They looked into the direction of her outstretched arm. There, in the middle of the courtyard, shining in the light from the patio lamps, was an old-fashioned World War I gas mask.